There were a lot of things that used to be fire about COD Zombies. Yo! Just like that famous Easter egg ending on Moon when you totally blow up the Earth into big chunks. COD Zombies players have really specific memories that they hold close in their hearts and their dear memory. And I think it's safe to say that today, the game just doesn't hit the same way as it used to. So today we're going to analyze and go over the top 5 things that used to be good in Call of Duty Zombies. And if you want an awesome place to get daily COD Zombies information, this place is totally for you. But without further ado, let's get into it. Now, this first point is going to be very important, and without this, I think every other point on this list will be irrelevant. As much as I don't want to throw this on the list, I have to, and that is funding. Whether you like it or not, money unfortunately makes the world go around. And I think it's safe to say that this concept is no stranger to Activision, or any other gaming studio for that matter. Call of Duty Zombies was always kind of in a really weird place because campaign and multiplayer had all really the main assets of it, but bulk of them came from campaign. And anyway, that stuff determines what other DLCs are going to happen in the future. And so for this, Zombies is basically getting like the sloppy thirds of everything because it sometimes gets, you know, the assets from campaign and multiplayer combined. So I think that's why Zombies is just kind of the way Zombies is. In the past, this formula really hasn't bothered me too much because I mean, we've had some good stuff come from multiplayer maps in Zombies. Like literally every World at War Zombies map is pretty much a map from either multiplayer or copy and pasted from the campaign at some point in time. Numa was kind of an exception to that because the huts were actually kind of imported from some of the missions on campaign, but needless to say, we just have to throw it on the list anyway. But I think it's really important that we get back on track and talk about funding a little bit more. So you're probably thinking Call of Duty, AAA game, lots of funding, and yeah, that's pretty much true. The only downside is I mentioned earlier campaign multiplayer, but now we have another thing that came into play, and yes, this was Warzone. Warzone is a huge responsibility and a massive juggernaut, so the fact that they had to make a massive map really dictates a lot of the features and a lot of the assets within the game. Is to say that massive games like Warzone can really suck the time, energy, and money out of studios because literally, let's take Black Ops 4 for example, and I'm not even touching Zombies on this one. Since we were making Blackout at the time, or Treyarch was making Blackout at the time, it really pulled their resources and they really couldn't do any solid campaign stuff. I mean, they had some side missions here, but you know, it just wasn't what we were used to seeing, right? And it truly does seem as Call of Duties have progressed, the quality of the games has decreased while the quantity of content has kind of really been staggered towards Warzone. Ladies and gentlemen, you can thank Fortnite. But if you're talking funding for Call of Duty Zombies, it is totally true that the bottom of the barrel for funding is where we are at. A lot of people are aware of the Microsoft Activision thing, so I'm not really going to touch on that so much, but just to let you know that the funding in Call of Duty Zombies is really important, and without it, the game mode can't really thrive as it used to be. At our number 4 spot, we've got difficulty. Now, depending on your experience and your challenge level, I think difficulty is something that is really important in Call of Duty Zombies. The player who's been playing Call of Duty Zombies since World at War, I can safely say that Black Ops 1 and Call of Duty World at War were probably the hardest Zombies games of all time. Additionally, I do think Black Ops 2 had its moments. At the same time, I still think there are some easy moments in BO2. It's just my personal opinion, which I'm looking at buried on that one. If I really had to explain, I had to mention something about like gobblegums, elixirs, and maybe like the removal of like the perk limit, which I actually don't mind the removal of the perk limit, but I think it needs to be done in a little bit of a different way. Not even have to buying your perks from machines and just focusing on one perk machine, making your health bar super overpowered, which is just absolutely unfair. I think it's safe to say that it's totally awesome when everyone was starting out Call of Duty Zombies, and it was just an absolute insane accomplishment to get to even round 20. And if you still can't get to round 20, well, try Black Ops 3 and throw on some gobblegums, you'll easily get it. Next, I want to swing it over to something I always see people writing in the comment section down below, and that is talking about the return of a solid cast. Whether I'm talking about the 4 classic main COD Zombies characters, or the Victus crew, or the Chaos storyline, or whatever characters you love that belong to celebrity casts, people want actual characters with actual dialogue. And Actual Doctor actually wants a full-fledged cast of people who are talking and chatting and communicating with one another. Honestly, this is one of those things that really bugs me, and I don't really get annoyed a lot in my videos, but man, I have to really express it here because we've gone from a point where we're done with direct dialogue. I don't want to hear a character talk about how they're throwing a grenade or how they're reboarding a window to keep a zombie out. Like, we know that's a normal thing in Zombies. Like we just know. We know that's a thing. The fact that we still have that kindergarten level writing of dialogue just still bugs the crap out of me. It's so fun to hear characters play off each other and just listen to each other chat. And I think there's something that just really builds the world when you have characters that are interacting like that. And as much as I want this to come true, that we have fully fledged out dialogue, we have to go back to point 1, which is kind of see how that first point is really important. Anyway, let's swing on over to point 4. All right, so for this one, I'm actually going to play 2 clips. I want you to tell me what's the difference between clip number 1 and clip number 2. Here's clip number 1.
team has reached the village perimeter.
And now here's clip number 2.
Only through me, the Shadow Man, will you find your redemption.
Okay, honestly, now ask yourself, what is the difference between both of these clips? Well, you can argue that the clip with Firebase Z is really cool and the cars coming in and the characters are kind of actiony. I'm going to ask you the question, so what? Why should I feel any stakes for these characters whatsoever? And the fact that these characters are just bots and operator skins that you have? Yeah, so I'm gonna ask that question, so what? Now, comparing this to Shadows of Evil, I think this is really interesting because you have fledged out characters that you haven't met yet, but just by listening and watching this intro cutscene, you're really kind of invested into what's going on. Regardless of not whether you like the Shadows of Evil cast, I think that this is excellent storytelling and you have some great show don't tell here. So this leads me to my 4th point, which is mystery. Call of Duty Zombies has always had fantastic mystery. It's always kept the audience guessing, and I think World at War through BO1 have been like perfect, excellent staples of this because the game was so bare bones that it was so open to interpretation. And it's safe to say that BO2, BO3, and even BO4 had some really mysterious Easter eggs to solve, so I really like that as well. And within newer Call of Duty Zombies experiences, it just seems like the mystery has really died. Apart from getting a main cutscene at the end of doing an Easter egg, you don't really get all that much throughout the map itself. As a true hardcore COD Zombies fan, I really want to know where we're going to go next and where that journey is going to take us. I feel connected to the characters who I'm playing with. I mean, this is just character storyline telling 101. Like, if you go to your favorite video game of all time, there's probably a character that you really enjoy. That is, if we're talking about a video game that has characters in them. Apart from that, the Call of Duty Zombies games now just really lack good quality character build, and I don't know, it just doesn't feel as mysterious. I guess I'm circling back to point 3, but going back to point 4, mystery is really important, and without that, the game can kind of feel a little bit different. Make it mysterious, please. I think the final thing that I miss most from Call of Duty Zombies, and that used to be fantastically amazing, was the hype for Call of Duty Zombies. Now, this hype always comes when a new Call of Duty is like on the horizon, especially if it's Treyarch and it's zombies. There's something that's gonna go crazy, right? And you can totally be hyped for the next Call of Duty Zombies game by Treyarch, because I am. At the same time, I'm totally okay acknowledging that we're not the same place that we were a few years ago. Like I said earlier, that's totally okay, and I accept that fully for what it is. There's no really need to get down on it. However, I do miss the days when everybody was tuned in to find out what the release of the new COD Zombies map was, because those times were glorious. Nights where you'd stay up and stay glued to YouTube because you wanted to figure out the next guide, or watch the Easter egg ending, or just be a part of the community because the community was fantastic. Then someone would solve a cipher and that would have a hint to a next map, and I think that was just super exciting. Maybe people found more additional Easter eggs that nobody else had found, and you had to share that with the world, and examining those were very interesting. I think it's safe to say that the Call of Duty Zombies hype train moments were absolutely phenomenal. So you don't need to be stuck in the 20 teens in order to be hyped for COD Zombies, because you know what? I still am. I love playing the game, and whenever a new Call of Duty Zombies game comes out by Treyarch, I know I'm glued in.